Hello and welcome to Sellout Roundtable, the podcast that's a branch of our Sellout Talks podcast presented by Sellout Sports. We're going to have a lot of people on, a couple guests, and talk about everything going on in the world unrelated to sports. So that means pop culture, science, math, anything happening. And, we're going to chill. All right, so pretty much every week or whenever we do the pod, because it's not really on the schedule, we'll start out with some sort of news, crazy thing that no one's really heard of that is absolutely ridiculous. And we're starting off with a banger, of course, for the first one. This is a space hurricane. You'll see it on the screen. Scientists said last week they observed a previously unknown phenomenon, a 620-mile wide swirling mass of plasma that rolled for hours in Earth's upper atmosphere, raining electrons instead of water. First of all, So you're telling me this is a 620-mile diameter thing of electrons is what I'm hearing right now.
Well, that sounds like something from that sounds like the movie, like a movie plot.
Exactly.
Electrons,
it does.
And literally electrons are spewing from some sort of galactic tornado.
Yeah. Vortex.
And the funniest part is if something happens, there's absolutely nothing we can do. We just have to sit there and let it happen. Like, what are we gonna? There's nothing to do. It's just we can't control anything. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. This article that I'm reading, NBC News, says scientists from China, the United States, Norway, and the United Kingdom found the space hurricane while combining satellite observations from August 2014.
Oh my goodness.
So this is years ago, but since when you have satellites, you got to get the pictures. It takes forever. So I don't think this is I think this happened earlier and they're finding it now. And I guess unreal. It could still be there. They don't know because that's the most recent footage they have. So they don't know if it went away or anything.
That's scary. Really.
That's unreal.
I heard this saying. It's like the sun could explode and we wouldn't know till 8 minutes later. So technically we could all be dying in 7 minutes right now.
That fact is always awesome. Like when someone says the sun could have exploded, we won't know for another 6 minutes. What do you even do? You have no choice. You have no options to do anything.
You don't. You really don't.
Something crazy though is I believe, I don't know if you guys agree, I believe that definitely governments, but also private organizations like Elon Musk, I want to bring up, they have so much information that we don't know. Everything's we don't know what's out there, but there's so much information that the general public doesn't know about space in general.
Yeah,
and so
100%.
Elon, well, first of all, you think space, the first thing you think is aliens. You think movies, you think aliens, interplanetary travel. Elon Musk trying to do it to Mars. I just watched a podcast. Joe Rogan interviewed him. Elon Musk thinks there's no aliens at all. He says there's no evidence or proof of aliens. And he's obviously SpaceX. He wants to go to Mars within the next 2 years, have interplanetary travel, colonize all the planets, and he believes there's no other life forms out there.
There's a theory that he's from the future, by the way. There's a theory that Elon Musk is for the future.
Elon not believing in aliens, that sounds like anti-Elon. He's supposed to be pro everything fantastic.
Yes, but everything literally possible fantastic because he does it. He's doing it. Everything that people thought couldn't be possible, he's doing. So if he doesn't think that there's it's hard to believe there's aliens when Elon Musk says there's not, is my main point now.
Aliens are for sure. They're real for sure.
Really?
And I have a bunch of stuff I have a bunch of I don't believe in all of these, but there's a few of them I 100% believe in that I have written down that we'll get into.
We know there's if you think about it, the universe, we're just a tiny little thing. There could be trillions more universes, and you're telling me there's not a life form on a single one of them?
There's so many universes.
I think in our solar system, not even galaxy, so not Milky Way, but in our solar system, so the 8 planets, 9 planets?
Yeah.
I don't think there's other life forms. I don't think there's life forms on Mars.
Well,
I agree with that.
There's 9 main, but we've never there are planets so far like Neptune and Uranus who knows what could be on them. Like we haven't really gotten to get close enough to it yet. Like, and also there's like 8 or 9 main planets we know, and we consider them planets. There's hundreds of exoplanets and stars.
Oh,
so
millions.
and space is huge, literally infinite from what we know.
Yeah.
So there's no chance we're the only things that live in the entire universe.
Here's the thing, though. Why? Okay. Well, personally, I would say I don't believe there's life forms in our solar system because you were saying we don't like know the planets far out. We definitely do. If you're telling me Elon Musk is going to colonize Mars, I feel like we could get a couple pictures of Neptune.
To be honest, though, the thing with Elon is Elon makes a lot of empty promises. That's true. Remember when he said he was going to listen? He said he was going to make an underground tunnel system under LA. That thing was no. He started it and then he was like, "Wait, this is pretty much impossible," and so he stopped. Elon delivers.
I mean, he's putting in. It's not like he says it and doesn't try. Like he's putting in billions of billions of dollars into SpaceX right now.
Yeah, but there's still so much he doesn't know. Listen, Nick, the universe is huge and there's multiple universes and galaxies. There's no chance we're only living things.
I understand. But here's the thing. If I don't believe that there's aliens in our solar system and say there's not, how is it possible that there are in other solar systems but haven't come to ours yet? Because that's a great question. Because the pyramids, all that stuff. Yeah, but that would show that they have to be here, but they're not. There's no.
Well, they can travel back and forth. All right, we're gonna get into my first topic. That's my favorite. That's the one I actually do believe in. All right, so I'm gonna start out. So in ancient caves all over the place, there's drawings about aliens and things like that. But the thing is that there's drawings and stuff like that all over the world, but they're in different places from thousands of years ago before they had communication. So there are drawings in caves in Egypt and the Middle East that are on similar caves in places like Europe and the northern parts near Russia and Asia. And there's no chance they could have such similar things in that time period with that communication. They're so similar that there's some common denominator.
But 1,000% the aliens built the pyramids. 1,000%. If you look at the manpower, it would have been working labor every single day for 1,000 years.
Before Pat talks about the pyramids, people they're impossible, blah blah blah, they're heavy, whatever. There's nothing in the pyramids that was like above the time period. There was nothing futuristic. There's no metals. There's no futuristic metals that they couldn't have had back then. There's nothing like that except random things like the drawings and like figurative things that are like above their time. There's no material.
Let me bring something up, Nick. Inside of the pyramids there's 3 pyramids that are the main 3. Mm-hmm. Inside of them, the internal temperature is nearly the same year-round in each of the 3 at all times. Inside of the pyramids, there are also multiple intricate labyrinthine like corridors and structures inside of it. They're inside of the tomb, not the tombs, inside of the pyramids themselves. And then you go and look on the outside of it. It's 4,500 years old. There are millions of these stones. Each of the stones weigh at least 2 tons, 4,000 pounds a piece. The pyramids, all 3 of them, also align with constellations on Orion's belt. And why are there other structures around that are far older, that are younger than the pyramids of Giza, and none of them are in nearly as good of a shape as the pyramids?
I know that there are explanations for a couple of things you said. A couple of them I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, what is there to say out of those either supernatural or coincidences, because we don't really know, that says it was aliens who built the pyramids? Because there's nothing, even besides the Orion's belt, there's nothing related to other life forms on different planets. So I don't know why does it go directly to aliens?
Because the structures themselves are so massive. The humans, if you were to start building the pyramids today with the human manpower, even if you had cranes and stuff that are around in 2020, this would take over hundreds of years to build. And they did 3 separate pyramids with these massive stones.
So
And yet,
basically,
Pat, every single stone is the same. It's kind of, it has the same damage.
Yes,
Like if
absolutely.
it took that long,
The stones.
it would have been
And
progressively
this.
worse.
Yes, absolutely, Sean. The stones are actually they're all very similar in size. They're and when you have 4,000-pound stones that are that similar in size, that's not a coincidence.
It's
so
not.
so basically, because it's impossible, in your opinion or what you think, for our civilization or society to create the pyramids, it had to have been another civilization or species. And since we haven't discovered them on Earth, they're from a different planet. So it's basically a process of elimination. And the last thing
Not
possible.
necessarily. There's things that are too big to ignore to explain away with human intelligence. They're huge and they're in very good condition considering the years. And if the humans couldn't build them, who else could have?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're saying it has to be someone else. Okay.
Yes, of course.
The hurricanes, the pyramids are weird to me because I feel like, I don't know, there's no like supernatural like occurrence to me. Like there's no main, wow, this is like a new element we've never discovered before on our planet. It doesn't exist. Like it's not really something like that. It's kind of something that seems to have not happened or couldn't have happened. But I know you got a list, so hit me with another one.
Okay, so the next one is pretty popular. The moon landing in 1969.
Right.
So people know about, we landed on the moon in 1969 for the first, or apparently in 1969.
Apparently in
Buzz Aldrin.
Fake.
Okay. So there's a conspiracy that the US had faked the moon
100%.
landing. There's, Stanley Kubrick. If you don't, he directed The Shining, 2001: A Space Odyssey, which will come back. So people believe that in 1969 or before that, on a lot in New Mexico in Area 51, the moon landing was shot. Now, it will be explained. Give me a second to explain it. So, in space, on the planet or on the moon, there is a flag waving.
Right.
There is no
Flags
air implying wind. There is no air or wind on the moon or in space.
But I get there's no air. But like, is it complete absence of anything, or are there other particles in the air and there's just no oxygen?
I know there's no wind.
Yes, but couldn't there be wind because of the thrusters or the people? Because all wind is particles hitting each other in air and just moving along. It's a chain reaction.
I'll tell you why the US did this. They wanted to get on the moon landing before Russia.
Right.
They wanted
the
to get on
was
before Russia.
Thing.
If you look at the boot print on the moon, it does not match up with the boot.
Sounds like if the glove doesn't fit. I think,
and there was a rock on there that there's a little inscription that said like, it had like a number. It said like A1 or something, like some kind of number.
It
looked like a set. It looked like a stage.
It said Woody on the bottom of the boot. I think.
Well, speaking of rocks, I have one more thing before you go on. Speaking of rocks, with the US gave a museum in the Netherlands, I think it's some museum in Amsterdam, they gave them a moon rock. The moon rock, though, was actually wood, painted gray with some literally painted. So that begs the question: is if there's moon rocks, why would they not give one, especially to such a famous museum?
Right.
Unless they did not have them.
Unless they didn't fake it. Absolutely, they faked it. I mean, it's just a club.
It's a completely different. It's totally different from the pyramids, because this is a fake instead of a conspiracy. Like, that's fantastic, because
this is realistic in a way.
I don't see how it's realistic.
I'm not 100% on this. I don't know if I believe this or not.
I think it's realistically possible to happen, but I find it impossible that no one spilled the beans. How has nobody just released the information? Of course, you could look it up. There's probably some Joe Schmo on the
No, no,
streets of
no.
New York City
There's-
saying,
And
"Oh,
I bet
I know,
he's
I
probably
know,
dead. I
I
bet he's
know."
probably
No.
dead because the government killed him.
I actually
The
have
government killed
something.
him.
I have something.
Probably.
I got a lot of these from a Time magazine article with a lot of wonderful evidence. Okay, so there were 3 astronauts: Virgil
These
Grissom,
real
Edward White, and
astronauts.
Roger Chaffee. Yes. Now, these 3 astronauts died in a fire testing the equipment for the first moon mission. There's theories
They
that
all
these
died.
people, all 3 of them, there's theories that these 3 were executed by the US government out of fear that they were going to spill the beans about the moon landing. So
Yeah,
now
I mean-
that's an answer as to there's no one spilled the beans. Maybe nobody has had the opportunity to spill the beans.
Yeah, I mean, the government can do whatever the heck they want. I mean, they've probably killed
Yeah, I mean,
thousands of people, and we have no
It's
idea.
true.
If you look at the trends, all these doctors possibly discovered cures to cancer, cures to AIDS,
Look,
blah blah blah, and they're all dead. Every single one of them is dead. I mean, the government.
That is something that is
They have to.
definitely realistic, that they're hiding cures for major diseases. I think that's
That's the one
definitely
I didn't.
realistic.
That's one I didn't write down, but I've read about the cure for cancer is actually like they have it, but they're not releasing it, or
Right,
like
yeah.
it's been controlled forever.
They'd lose so
Um,
much money. So
I
much.
just want to get your thought before we move on to the next one. I want to get your thoughts on this, Nick.
The moon
What
landing?
are you thinking? Yeah.
So I think it's possible for the moon landing to be fake, like I said before, but I don't see. I find it impossible that it hasn't gone out by now, and that we don't know about it, because there had to have been, to fake something like that, especially not now with the technology we have, because this is years ago. Obviously, they had would have had the technology to do it. I'm not arguing that, but they would have needed a team, like a team of people. Like, you would need at least 50 people would know about it, plus those people's families. I mean, how do you not tell your family you're faking the moon landing?
Because they kill your family.
Here's it's true. The U.S. government holds you ever heard of the Manhattan Project, Nick?
No, I haven't.
So when the U.S. was trying to develop the atomic bomb, they literally made an entire town in Tennessee, and they had people doing these little jobs testing the bombs, like doing little things like every 10 minutes you just press this button, write down whatever comes up on the screen. They had an entire town set up of people doing that, and like you couldn't leave the town or tell anybody else about what was going on. And that's how they developed the atomic bomb. It's actually super interesting. Look it up. Manhattan Project, crazy. But yeah, that's another thing about, they have so many people involved. That's why I'm not sold on this too. It's because like it seems like a lot of work and some of it is still weird.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The last thing I have for it is Stanley Kubrick, who they think directed it. He made the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, which you've probably heard of, which is like it's this like contemporary space movie. That would be proof that they had the technology to make it. So it was made in 1968, so it would prove they had the technology to make it in 69. And that's why they picked Kubrick for the role to be the director of the.
That's why they
of the landing
allegedly picked.
Yes,
right.
yes.
And so this guy
allegedly.
This guy, when did he die? Is he alive?
A while ago. He died. No, Stanley Kubrick. I'll do this fact right now. He died in the 80s, I think.
If it's not natural causes, they killed him.
He died in 1999. He died in 1999, but he was 71 years old.
All right, so then they didn't
natural causes. So how do you go your entire life?
Well, this guy was a weird.
Just because he was so invested in he wanted to keep the secret. He was so invested in.
Or
I mean, he must have been paid off a ton.
Or one. That's I was about to say. Money, a very powerful tool. Now, I don't know why he would need the money. He was already a monster director.
Right.
2001: A Space Odyssey put him at stardom as a director, but who knows? That's why I'm not so.
I mean, we're talking like a lot of big bucks here. We're talking a lot of money.
Well, the U.S. government's not sure on funds, so
well,
they don't have to really worry about that.
Kind of.
I mean, we're talking about the biggest possible fake event here. That's going to be a lot of money.
Why don't they just print more money? It doesn't matter.
You just print more money. Things I don't. TikTok, things I don't understand. National debt.
Yeah. All right. So the next one I want to talk about is probably our best one we're going to get here that we know the most about. Area 51, New Mexico.
All right.
So you go ahead, John. You started off.
I got a big theory here. This is my own theory, not any. I think
you fabricated You came up with this. Like, this is
Yes,
you.
this is me. I didn't see
Okay.
anything. This is my theory.
That's fine.
Area 51 is a publicity stunt. There's nothing there.
Oh,
The whole entire everyone's so focused on that, they're not seeing the real Area 51, somewhere completely different that no one's worrying about because
so
they think Area 51.
So you're saying it is real, but that's not it.
I'm absolutely.
But do you believe? Do you believe all the
51's
things?
real.
Who would say that? I mean,
Area 51 being real?
Well, like, I mean,
it's real. No. Area 51 is a known. Well, Area 51 is a known Air Force base, as they say, but they haven't ever said anything about. Well, actually, they did say they're going to release, or someone said they were going to release like UFO footage and things like that. I think somebody said that, but Area 51 is a real place. The things that disputed is there like some extraterrestrial information now that we don't know.
Absolutely, 100%. And but it's not in Area 51. There's probably in the second thing called Area 50. That's probably in like Nevada.
Area 52. Yeah.
Area 52 in
it's
Nevada.
Like 50 miles
so what? Because since I'm not like I know about this, I hear the conspiracies, but since I'm not like the biggest believer and follower, I don't know the specifics. So say it's real, even though it's not the real Area 51. Say it's Area 52. We haven't found it. What is there? Do you think because some people think they literally have aliens there, like they're having conferences?
That's one of the things. So Bob Lazar, I got another fact. Bob Lazar was a ex engineer for Area 51, or he used to work there, which is documented. That's known he worked there. He's been on numerous podcasts like Joe Rogan. He came out with a documentary. He was a whistleblower, so he came out and made a bunch of statements about everything in 1989 about all the things that were going on there. He said that they studied extraterrestrials on the base. Let's see, they housed alien aircrafts, and he said they have like proof. They have aliens and aircrafts that move unlike anything that humans can make right now.
Now, is this guy still alive?
Yes, he's a famous guy. He's famous. He's like the biggest kind of Area 51 whistleblower.
Shout out Joe Rogan, by the way.
Like, how would they not do something to him? How is he still walking?
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. You know what? You should really be following Sellout Sports on Instagram and Twitter so you can keep up and get daily sports news, everything you need, really. You should also listen to our main podcast, Sellout Talks, which you can find on Spotify, Apple Music, Anchor, whatever you listen to. Over there, we keep you up to date with the world of sports, and we even have our own top 5 segment that you could listen to and should really go check out. How did I get this beautiful, beautiful Sellout merch? That's a great question. You can go to our Instagram bio, or you can go to selloutdaily.com. We really appreciate it. We'll see you later, Sellouts.
Well, yeah, well, Sean, the Bob Lazar, like the government not killing him actually proves that, like, I think if they killed him, it would prove more that he was correct. Like he wasn't lying. Because if he just round up dead, that would be like,
that's true. People would be like, oh, wait, they killed him and he's speaking out about all these things and aliens, and like, it would be extremely suspect. And I got a great analogy here. A great, fantastic one for Nick, who does not believe in aliens. Not believing in the existence of aliens is like taking a spoonful of water from an ocean and saying there are no sharks in the ocean because there's none in my spoon.
But that's my point. I said that. I said that. Listen to me, because I said that because the spoon is the solar system, and I believe there are none in the solar system. So that's valid. Like
I would say the Earth is the spoon in this scenario.
Yeah, for sure.
The Earth is the spoon.
I don't know.
The Earth is for sure. The Earth is for sure the spoon.
But the solar system's the bucket.
No. Yes,
it's the pail.
I mean,
it's
that's not the analogy.
The pail.
Yeah, but a pail. I mean,
Jack
I know. But the thing is, though, like if you take a pail of water, you're for sure going to get at least like one shark. So
that's true.
I don't know. I don't know if I can believe the thing. I'm a big fact guy. I don't see the facts. Like I don't know where they are. It's all. I mean, I guess that's why it's called a conspiracy, because it's conspiracy. It's not like.
I mean, do you believe the air is there?
The what?
You can't see it. You can't see air.
Oh, the air.
You can't see God. I mean, you believe in those things.
I mean, you have faith in aliens?
No, I don't have faith in aliens.
Well, the thing about Area 51, Nick, too, is why are they so stringent on no visitors? Like, why? I was
That's
watching a show a
true.
few years ago where, like, if you pass this line, they have a sign. If you pass this line, they have full permission to shoot you. There's like automated good guns
Yeah.
Oh
hidden
my
in the
God.
bushes. Like, they have full permission to kill you if you pass this line. If it's just a
Remember
regular
the
Air Force, if it's just a
area
regular Air Force base, then why would they have those precautions?
Area 51 raid? Millions
Just
of people
but
signed up on a
but
Facts.
but
Facebook group.
the amount of things that the government hides from us, especially
Oh yeah.
bases and
Oh yeah.
projects, so many projects, aircrafts, whatever they're working on. This is just something that's like almost public because it's kind of in broad daylight, and it's something that, since it is private, no one knows. Like, it doesn't prove to me that aliens are real. Maybe it is space. Maybe it is trying to find aliens. Maybe it is interplanetary travel, and they're trying to figure it out there. Whatever they're doing experiments. In no way does that prove that aliens exist or that they're meeting with aliens.
Well, then I have the question of, like, have you seen the videos that apparently are flying saucers and stuff like that?
Yeah, wasn't
Do you
there
believe those are real?
some athlete
Baker
or some
Mayfield.
Baker
fake? Yeah,
Mayfield.
Baker
Yes,
yeah.
Mayfield
Baker
saw it.
Mayfield
He said with his
came out and
wife, like
said,
in the car.
I'm 100%
Yeah.
sure we saw a UFO. He didn't say aliens. He said a UFO specifically.
Hey, no, I obviously I've seen those. It's funny. Actually, Elon said this, and he said, "How is it possible that so many people have captured a UFO, but in every single instance, it's either a blurry picture, it's dark out, it's hard to see, it's
That is
moving
so true.
fast.
That's
That
true.
is true.
Every single time, there's something. There's something that says this is not completely valid.
Well, there's always a reason to explain it away. I see that for sure. Like, you can always explain.
Yeah.
I can agree with you that, like, it is odd. That I feel like every time there's never clear footage, but that the guy Bob Lazar, he was the guy saying that, like, they have footage, and like they have like they have all the stuff that they covered up that they actually have is Area 51 and at these bases around that.
And then
maybe the UFO submits onto all the phones in a radius of a certain amount. All the phones recording makes them blurry. And then so no one's like, oh man, blurry picture, I don't believe you. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, speaking of aliens, I think one thing that, like, people always overestimate is, like, there's aliens might not be more advanced than us. Like, they probably are not, like, extremely advanced like they do. Like,
if they're here,
they're probably advanced because they got here. But like the thought that they're like some almost god like figure where they know everything and they're so advanced and they're like little green guys, I think that's ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely.
I think I don't know. They're definitely, if they're here, which I don't think they are. Some people do. If they're here, they're definitely more technologically advanced.
Yeah.
And in space, I agree with you because I find it hard to believe that they're psychologically or, like, person to person intellectually as advanced as us, because I think that'd be something that we would. And I think that's something, because people say aliens would be here to study us. I think that's something they would come to study is, our relationships with people, our feelings. Maybe they don't have feelings. Maybe they can't feel passion, love, whatever. If they were here, I think they'd be studying that, and they probably wouldn't be as advanced in that. But if you're talking, building aircrafts, getting here, knowing about space and farther out, they're probably more advanced than that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think, but I think the thing about aliens, I think, is so crazy is, like, the only reason we see aliens as, like, the very small, like, skinny, big-headed creatures is because of the first person that pretty much thought of aliens and drew them out. They thought of them as that. Like, maybe they could be, like,
absolutely,
they honestly could be anything you could think of out of in the galaxy that we have no idea.
I guarantee they're absolutely disgusting to look at. They're not like these little green guys. Like, they would be disgusting, like an insect, just a really
or there's
insect,
something. How could you rule out that there's something completely, like, we can't even understand until we know what it is? Like, not even
absolutely.
They're spirits. Say they're like spirits, or there's something ridiculous,
like something our brains can't process.
Right? They're ghosts, something like crazy that we don't even know. Like, that'd be cool. Or they're like germs. They're like tiny parasites.
They're like microorganisms.
Yeah, like that.
Well, I think the thing with aliens is, like, I think a lot of us have seen, like, we don't even know, like, what's in 70% of the ocean. Like,
Yeah,
we
that's
can't
crazy.
get down deep enough.
That's scary.
Like, I think it could be one of those things where we have no idea. I mean, the ocean and like the Antarctica, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder about what could be frozen in the Antarctic ice?
Not even
Like,
what is we can barely get like thousands of feet. Okay, there's tens of thousands of feet below the ocean. Like
there's
insane, absolutely insane. What could be
miles.
there? There could be dinosaurs living like down there.
There could be. Imagine
imagine
the wreckage and things like. There's literally entire ecosystems and animals that we have no idea what they are because we never found them.
Yeah, we think we know so much, and we just don't know anything as a society. We act like know-it-alls. We know nothing. We know nothing about this planet except for minute. We probably know 5% of the planet's secrets.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, and there's so much history on Earth that we can't even go far back enough to figure out. I mean, do you guys remember a few years ago they found like a woolly mammoth child frozen in the Antarctic ice?
That was
like
insane.
Stuff like that. Who knows what could be frozen in the ice, and we can't get deep enough to find it. That's why like Antarctica is awesome. There's so much stuff there that we have no idea, even though like Antarctica is classified as a desert.
That's why
like they prohibit it. They don't let anyone go there.
No.
There's got to be something going on there too with the government.
But
they let no one there.
I think that's why it's insane that we're talking about aliens, not even in our solar system, but other galaxies. But we only know a small fraction of our own planet. Like we're really gonna go colonize Mars and the rest of our solar system in the next 10, 15 years, whatever. And we've discovered 30% of the ocean. How does that even make sense? Why
it doesn't?
Why the thing is, where are the teams working on that? Why do we have no progression there? Who's looking into this and doing this? Why are we going to another planet if we don't understand on our own? And that makes me think that's not possible. There must be people, and why don't we know about the people? Because something crazy, something scary, something ridiculous is that other 70%, and not even the ocean, Antarctica, everything.
Yeah, like what about like Antarctica? There's periods of and the only people that can go there legally, like you can't just charter a plane there. You have to be like part of a scientist team that gets approved by the UN, because I think the UN owns it or something. And there's like 6 months out of the year where you are not no one is allowed to live there because it's too cold. And so who knows what could be there? And Antarctica is huge. Like people, it's pretty big. People think it's smaller because the way the maps work, and you see it at the top and the bottom of little pieces, but like it's pretty big, and people can't be there for half the year. Imagine what's on that place.
Yeah, imagine what's in the core of the Earth. Like we can't get close enough to it. Like close. Just everywhere. There's so many things that we just, like I said before, like we all said, we just don't know anything, and it's going to take thousands of years to even get a little tiny piece of information. Like we know.
Yeah, and that goes all the way back to the beginning, and how this all started with the hurricane, which they're saying was in 2014, 2015. So it took us 5-6 years, maybe 7 to get this information. Yeah. And so the tiny piece of information that we got took us 6-7 years to get.
It did.
So if we're not able to, it just blows my mind and makes me think there must be so much being hidden from us right now.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. People 300 years ago, they didn't have medicine. We're like, they're getting these simple diseases. They're like, oh, they are so stupid. How do they not cure this? Right? 300 years in the future, they could be looking back and saying, how they not cure cancer? That's the easiest thing. It's the same thing. At the time, the people didn't know that there's a cure to it. And I'm guaranteed they're going to figure it out at some point.
That's crazy to think about that. Like 300 years from now, my great grandkid could be watching this podcast, because we know he's going to watch the podcast. Yeah, obviously he's going to watch the podcast. So
what else would he do?
I don't know, but he's going to be thinking to himself, I can't believe they were using cameras and we're on a call and they couldn't just use just crazy things and just teleport to each other to record a podcast.
I think one thing is so funny about like the future is people in the 1970s, they did their drawings of what the world would be in 2020.
Oh my God.
There's like hover cars.
Back to the future. Back to the future said in 2015 there would be flying cars. That's what Back to the Future said.
And then like you cut from 1970 to 2020, and it's like the only thing that's changed is we can like make calls farther distances and see each other.
Yeah. We have better quality video.
They like you can like FaceTime and call an Uber, like that's it pretty much. Basically. But speaking of the Earth, so two structures that you've probably seen, Stonehenge and Easter Island. So
Right.
both of these, Stonehenge, are these massive stones, 30 feet tall, up to 40 tons each, and they're just these huge stone structures. So that's why, and Easter Island even I think is even more interesting because you guys have seen the heads on those on
Of
like
course.
the island. So there's 900 of those heads that are 13 feet tall, sometimes even
Wait, there's
bigger, and 14
there's
tons.
900 of those boulders.
Nearly 900 of those heads.
I was thinking 15. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
what's
No,
the
there's all over the
reasoning
island.
behind them? Why are they there? Who built
Exactly.
them? Fill me in. Ben.
That's the thing. Well, I don't know. That's the thing we don't know is like they were found there when
Oh,
people
we
were.
don't
I mean,
know? Oh, wow.
well,
That's the
people.
point.
Okay, got it.
people.
Yeah, that's
Well, they think people were there before, obviously. If you use like this straight up scientific, but the people that discovered the island, at least that we know discovered the island, they found the heads there. The heads were already there. So some people think that the island was like, although and all the inhabitants of the island were killed by some sort of volcano or something. I don't know. That's I'm not sold on aliens or some sort of supernatural or extraterrestrial thing for that. But if you look at the amount of stones, and they're all so similar, like they're all heads and they're huge.
Yeah, like I mean, cultures usually they would build statues and worship them. You don't build 900 statues to worship them. You'd build one and you'd worship it. So it's nothing.
Sure.
I don't think it's religious at all. I don't know. I mean, why would
Mhm.
you decide to build 900 heads? Probably take hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Build 900 heads and just leave them there to sit. Like it makes no sense.
But what is the reason? Say it's aliens or another life form. Why? Why do
Yeah,
they
I
build
don't
the
know.
pyramids? Why do they build these stone heads? It doesn't. It
Well,
just.
It
who
doesn't make
knows?
sense.
It's
Who
true.
knows?
I,
And the thing that makes you think that it might not be aliens is because the island of it's called Rapa Nui. We found it like 1,000 years ago, I think. So who knows how far back those heads could date? But there's so many. 900 is a crazy number, and they're all
Yeah.
they're all so big. I don't know how they get them there.
Yeah, that's just
Like
crazy
where
to
would they?
think
The
about.
thing is, like where would they find the rocks? Like that, with like where do you and how do you get those stones and then carve them into that many separate things on this small island?
Yeah, I mean UFOs could lift them there and just plop them right down, easy peasy, and take
There
probably
you go.
30 minutes. Or it could be, or it could be actual people and take thousands of years. That's the difference. That is the difference. Aliens could do in 30 minutes. It would take the humans back in the day, whenever they made it. We don't know. Thousands of years, tens of years, hundreds of years. We don't know. I mean, that's just
Mhm.
crazy.
I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see. You know what? I don't know. It feels like it's me. Obviously, we're young, but it feels like just because of SpaceX, kind of pretty much, and consistently kind of going into orbit, going into space, that
Mhm.
now we're actually starting to ramp up and try to figure things out. So even though it's been probably 100 years in the making that we've been actually concerned or considering learning about space, but it seems recently, and this is where my question comes in, do you think it's actually realistic that we'll learn something, maybe not mind-blowing, but we'll either learn something or be able to actually travel and colonize in our lifetime? Because this has been tens of, maybe 100 years that we've been trying to do this, and obviously we haven't had the same technology, but it seems like we're starting now, is my point.
Mhm.
What
It
have we
does.
been doing for these
Well,
years?
I think the main thing is it's so expensive too. Like we haven't been back to. I don't think we've actually gotten boots back on the moon since 1969 when we
Mhm.
first landed there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot. I think Elon Musk, why it's
Or did
SpaceX
we
is being
land there?
so because he's trying. That's the question, and then because he's trying to commercialize. He's trying to commercialize space travel, so he wants to make it more for like a public thing than just the astronauts trained by the U.S.
Yeah.
I think that's a reason why it's kind of ramped up because he's a private investor. So like he
Right.
has his own money to put into exploration.
And I get what you're saying. I don't think he's definitely not concerned. He's definitely not. I mean, the guy's 100 billionaire, so he doesn't seem like I need $1 trillion type guy, really. So,
No.
and you can tell, you listen to him talk, and you're like, this guy's dream, his being of being here is to learn about space and just do fantastic things, like you said. He wants to figure these things out, which makes me think like he's not going to screw anyone over. He's not going to, make it insanely expensive. He's going to do it as cheap as possible, as quick as possible, which he's trying to do right now.
And as efficient as possible.
Exactly. And as efficient as possible. And to my question, if I can answer it, I think he's going to do it. I think we'll be on Mars 5 to 10 years. And in our lifetime, we'll be there a second time. We have
a rover on Mars that sings happy birthday to itself. So, I mean, there's that.
I think your timeline is a little bit fast. I think I could see us being on like people on Mars, like first astronauts stepping on Mars.
Like the first person to step on Mars.
I could see 20, 30 years maybe.
I could see 5 because he wants to be in orbit in like 2021.
He wants, but can he do it?
Yeah, no, but that's
a lot different.
He says that's the hardest part. The hardest part is to get into the orbit. And then once you're there, the only thing you have to do is heat up Mars because it's colder than Earth, because it's 50% farther from the sun. It's crazy. I love listening to him. His way of heating up Mars, because that's the main problem really that they're concerned about for colonization. His way of heating up Mars, just listen to this, okay? You're going to think this is insane. His way is to go to the poles. Yeah, go to the poles of Mars, north and south poles.
Oh, gosh.
And create mini compared to the sun, reactions and explosions to create mini suns at the poles to heat up the planet. And says that this is simple and they figured it out and it's not a problem anymore. And like they know how to do it.
I hate to say it, but Elon, I feel like this is another empty promise. Elon.
I mean,
he's talking about using bombs to make suns on Mars.
It sounds like a 7-year-old thought of that.
Oh, it sounds insane.
Really.
Well, colonization on Mars, I think, is going to be like I don't think we'll be on Mars colonizing it in our lifetime. There's so much like people living there.
Well, I don't think people will live there.
Much.
I don't think people will be living there in our lifetime. I think, like you said, 20 to 30. We'll start to colonize it because you have to bring so many resources over to another planet to be able to. So they'll start whatever, like maybe only like 10 astronauts building, farming, just because also Mars has frozen lakes and frozen oceans. They're going to have to figure out how to melt those because they're going to need water. So I think they'll have people there living there trying to figure it out in our lifetime.
Well, I did a 7th grade science project about Mars and its lake, so I already knew that. Thanks for coming.
My bad.
But if I colonize, I mean, if you mean first colonization, like, have you seen The Martian?
Yeah,
I have. Yes.
I think
Good
stuff
movie.
like. Do you mean like stuff like that, where like it's basically like a hub? I could see them starting to, but like mass life on Mars, like because
not in our lifetime.
I know
but
Elon's goal is like he thinks we're going to like probably destroy our planet Earth. With like global warming and pollution, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think one of his goals is to make like a second, like inhabitable Earth, basically. That's the problem with Mars.
More than
like,
2. He wants
here's the question.
20 planets.
Here's the question. Obviously, it's not going to happen in our lifetime. If it's not going to happen in our lifetime, it's not going to happen in Elon Musk's timeline. Who's going to fill the shoes? Someone's going to have to step up and take the steps.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to leave behind instructions or something.
Well, he'll probably have time to train. I'm assuming, unless he dies tragically of random causes, I'm sure he'll have time to train someone. I think, but it's going to be like, I think it's I think making other planets habitable is such a hard thing to do that I would be surprised if they did it. Well, like even the next lifetime, like full people, like in the next 200 years, maybe. But I think that's such a tall order to get done.
Yeah. I think. Last question, interplanetary travel, because there's probably way more conspiracies you want to get to. Last question I want both of you to answer. Take away everything you think that could happen. 10 years from now, we're on Mars. 20 to 30, we're colonizing it. You're mid-40s, maybe late 40s, married with kids, right? You're just chilling, good job, you're chilling. Maybe you stay in Hunter County, maybe you leave, maybe you're in China, whatever. It's possible because you can only go there 6 months out of every 2 years to get to Mars because they have to line up. It's possible just to go. Same price as a plane ticket to Florida. Okay. Do you go? You know it's safe. You trust it. Do you go and why? Because this is at the risk of Earth being destroyed by whatever pollution, global warming, civil war, World War III, whatever. Or do you stay, not go, and have no part of a complete revolution in interplanetary travel.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm staying on this rock. I'm going
Yeah,
down
I'm
with
not
this rock.
going
If I'm
anywhere.
with
I'm
my
not going
family,
anywhere.
if I have a family, kids, I'm staying on this rock. I don't care if it's about to explode. I'm not going to no Mars. Okay.
There's no risk.
No,
And
I'm
then
saying if the
scenario-
Earth exploded, if the Earth
there's
was going to
always risk.
explode, I would stay
And
on the Earth.
Listen, there's always risk. And I feel like
I can't believe that for me to not even, well, I guess maybe because you guys are scared of the aliens, but for me to not be a
it's
big
not
believer of
aliens.
aliens.
It's not aliens. It's
and
like
not-
if I'm 40, like one, I mean, it's just not worth like space travel. There's never not going to be risks of literally just like something. The problem with space travel is that since you're on an island for the entire time, like, and it's such an island, there's no choice. You either get there or you don't.
But it's
That's
like
pretty
you're,
much
it's like you're going to be living.
And the problem with that is like on the actual spacecraft, like one thing goes wrong, if there's like a single fire, done. Like
Yeah,
see ya. Like we're done.
You can't on Mars. You can't go down to the
that's
grocery
not what
store
I'm-
and get a
the-
peanut
the
butter
scenario-
cup
the
and some
scenario-
bread. You can't do
The
that.
scenario had zero risk.
Yeah, I mean that's impossible though. That's why I would never. I mean, maybe I guess if there's no risk, then yeah, sure, I'll do whatever. I'll do anything if there's no risk because there's literally no risk. But then again, who's gonna watch?
Would you want to live on Mars?
No risk.
No.
Absolutely no
No.
risks.
No.
Like, would you rather
No.
live on Mars or Earth? Like, you could go right now.
Right
Boom.
now, Earth.
And
all
there's
day.
a city.
It's cloned to Mars. Everything here is on Mars, is what you're saying.
Or I mean, it's easily
it's a
Earth.
new- it's a
it's
new-
easily Earth. Cable TV on Mars
It's
is a
Earth.
mess. I don't want to. No.
But listen,
That's not
what
worth
if there's a new, then there's new countries, then there's new governments.
Okay, that's true.
Think
God,
about
no,
it.
I mean,
Whole
you
new
can-
planet.
You
No,
buy
the
your
problem with
land.
I don't think there's going to be new countries. The problem with new countries on a completely new planet, that gets dicey. That's when wars start.
That's
That's
true.
true. I can see
I
that.
think-
I can see that.
With
That's-
alien
that's ridiculous.
blasters.
That's a little. That's a little.
Well, the
iffy.
thing is, though, like
Space-
guns don't
dude,
work.
this is Star
Guns don't
Wars.
work
We're
in
getting to
space.
Star Wars now. This is turning
No,
right into
literally.
Star Wars.
Well, guns don't work in space. I think, right? I don't think guns can fire in space unless you're inside. Unless you're inside of the like some gravitational area. Like I don't think guns fire.
Yeah, it depends on if you're able to heat up the gunpowder and then shoot out the bullet, but the bullet wouldn't go far. If you could, it just go. Whoop. So you need
wouldn't, yeah.
blasters. You need laser blasters.
Okay, lasers. Okay, I want to move on to the last one I had at least written down, and we'll go from wherever. So, some backstory. So, you guys know the Beatles, of course, Robert. Like the biggest band ever.
Yeah.
So, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison. Those are the four guys, and the two lead singers, Paul McCartney and John Lennon, the main two guys. So, there's a theory that at the height of Beatles fame in 1966, Paul McCartney died. He died, and it just happened like a car
How
wreck.
did he
whatever.
allegedly die? What did they listed his death as?
I gotta get there. No, I gotta get
Okay,
there. Well, he
alright.
didn't. Oh, okay. So they got somebody who sang and looked just like Paul named Billy Shears. All right. Now you might have seen it's called It's their album called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Right.
And the front of it's like all the characters and there's flowers on the ground. So apparently people think that the Beatles used that album cover as a memorial for Paul for his death with all the flowers and all set up like that. And there's just probably their best song, one of the most favorite songs, "A Day in the Life." It's about Paul McCartney's death. It talks about a guy getting in a car crash, blowing his mind out, dying in a car wreck, and like the whole world reacting to it basically.
Wait. This is like before death. This song came out.
No, this
Okay,
came.
so
The
this is-
Sgt. Pepper's came out after '66. So people think that like the album Sgt. Pepper's was a memorial for John or a memorial for
got
Paul.
Got
So Paul, they think Paul already died and replaced by this guy named Billy Shears. So, in a song at the beginning called "A Little," At the beginning of "A Little Help from My Friends," you can hear the name Billy Shears being sung at the beginning of the song. So if you listen back, you can hear Billy Shears. Now, some people think that they're just playing up like the Beatles, just playing along with the fans. I don't believe this theory for a second, but it's interesting. So you can hear Billy Shears' name kind of being sung in a high pitch at the beginning of the song before anything happens. Is that like the instruments kind of pick up?
Got it, yeah.
If the song is played backwards, you can hear "Paul is dead, miss him, miss him."
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
not
I have
even
to
done
hear with
yet.
my own ears.
Yeah,
I mean-
I recommend everyone going to listen and then like letting us know.
Can't
Also,
put it on the pod. Gonna be copyright. Pause
Yeah.
the video
No,
right
no,
now.
no,
Go
of
listen
course
to the
not.
song.
For
Go
sure.
listen to the song right now. We'll be waiting for
I
you.
got more. In the song called Strawberry Fields Forever, John Lennon mumbles at the end of the song, apparently, I buried Paul.
All right.
John Lennon, the main lead singer. All right. On the
So-
cover
so-
of this,
These are all alleged, though. You're saying these are all alleged.
these are all who knows?
But what's the like? What do people think is going on?
They think he died, and they replaced him with this guy named Billy Shears to be the new Paul McCartney after Paul died.
Before they announced his actual death.
No, he never. Yeah, and he never died though. That was the thing. Right now, they've never announced Paul McCartney ever dying. So they think that they just replaced him because I would assume they thought it caused some sort of divide with their fame in the band, because if the lead singer dies, it's hard to ever recover and just plug in someone else.
So how many years is the difference between when people think he actually died and was replaced and when he was said to die?
Paul McCartney was never said to die. Paul McCartney is currently alive. They think that his death was covered up and replaced by
So
this
he's
guy
alive.
named
He's
Billy
living right
Sears.
now.
So why would they
Paul
replace
McCartney
him,
is
though?
alive.
Why would they
because
want to
think
replace him?
Because they think he died. That was the theory, is that Paul McCartney has died and he was replaced under the table by this guy named Billy Shears to cover up his death. And if you look, Paul McCartney has
So
never been
I don't
pronounced dead
understand.
ever.
Why is he alive right now? Can't he just come out and say I'm Paul
Paul
McCartney?
McCartney is that's the thing. Paul McCartney, they think that the actual Paul McCartney died, and Billy Shears came in and looked just like him
Has
and sang
completely
just like
taken
him.
over his life and
So
identity.
because Paul McCartney died in this car
How
crash.
is-
So this guy named Billy Shears came in and became Paul McCartney, and no one
and
was
still
alive
is
there.
right now.
And is today. He is
Wow.
currently Paul
Wow.
McCartney.
That's
Wow.
gotta be the crazy.
I'm not even done yet too. The Beatles' last studio album called Abbey Road, you've probably seen it. They're walking in a crosswalk in England. On the cover of Abbey Road, Paul is wearing no shoes because the people think he's the only one out of the four of them not wearing any shoes. They think you don't need shoes if you're dead. Now, this part of it is the most far-fetched of them all. John is dressed all in white, like a priest, leading the funeral procession for Paul McCartney's death. Ringo Starr, the drummer, is dressed all in black, like somebody mourning the death of Paul. And the last person, George, is wearing jeans, like if he were a gravedigger.
Okay, that one
That one's
digest all
far-fetched.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did say it was.
Think about it though. Think about that's like, this is far-fetched, but like you also haven't listened to the music. If you listen to the songs, listen to the beginning of Help from My Friends, and there's no reason to just throw in that line for no reason, because it's out of nowhere before the song even starts. You hear the name Billy Shears.
Were these songs with the crazy things, the one with the backwards and one with the saying the name in the background, did these songs come out? I don't know if you know, before or after these conspiracies started?
These are all after. These are all these are all,
so that's
all
why
these songs
people
came out. All these songs came out after 1966, after people think Paul died and was replaced by this guy Billy.
So that's why people say, like, okay, they might just be playing with people.
Yeah, because they think the theorists they should just like food for the theorists, really.
You know what that makes me think of is like all these old, like 110-year-old people dying, and before they die, they said, "I'm Adolf Hitler," and saying like, "I'm alive."
Crazy.
And people come out and say that stuff,
ridiculous.
and there's no way to prove it really, because obviously he committed suicide. So
Well,
they say
some people think Adolf Hitler never died. That's a whole other conversation.
That's what it makes me think of.
So, talking about the conspiracies, this is probably my favorite one. I've said I'm not a big conspiracy guy. I'm into the Elon Musk, the planet travel, not really a big alien guy. I do like some conspiracies. This is not it, but do you guys remember in the middle of COVID, there was a whole, I don't know how much you were on TikTok, but there was a whole TikTok thing with Howie Mandel.
Oh my gosh, where he was supposedly kidnapped or something.
And he was like sending signals in the TikTok. In the
comments, they'd be like, "Howie, wear a red shirt next video if you're in danger." He'd wear a red shirt.
Wear a red shirt. But like, and then like David Dobrik like went to his house.
Go to his house.
But the conspiracy I'm thinking of, do you guys know anything going on with Britney Spears?
Yes. Yes.
Dude, this stuff is crazy.
It's crazy.
No, Britney Spears isn't a conspiracy. Like, her dad is just like taking all her stuff.
You don't know.
But do you think it's
bro? Her dad is just like taking control. No, her dad, like she's in court right now, like against her dad because he's like taking control of her life basically. Like he would have to ask her, he would like to have to get his approval to spend money on her own money on anything.
No. So there's this whole thing but there's
No?
this. Do you know about the drugs thing?
Oh no.
There's this whole. Okay, so like 5-6 years ago, she went completely off the rails, shaved her head, got addicted to
Shave
drugs.
Britney.
I know this one.
I think this is the main thing, Sean. I don't know if you have something else, but like her dad like took control of her because she was unstable. So he like basically was a child and he had control of her. The conspiracy is that he makes her take these pills and drugs, forces her to take these pills, keeping her insane and keeping her captive, like kidnapped.
Oh my goodness.
And so she can't, threatens her, forces her to take drugs. It's a whole thing. Like, I believe it's real.
And there's also
because he's insane. And so they think that he's like what I said. And she like can't get out of it. He controls her. And that's why she's off the rails insane.
There's also another theory about her shaving her head is that it was to distract people from what's actually going on in the world at the time. I forget the specific thing, but there's some kind of thing like a bombing or something like that happened, and then they used Britney Spears as a distraction because it's all over the news.
Wasn't
nothing about the bombing or whatever, and it's all just Britney Spears shaving her head.
Wasn't it like it was Bush? Wasn't there a whole thing with George Bush?
Yeah, it's something like that. Something that happened.
But that's the, like you said, Pat, the court cases going on right now. Like that, people think that's part of it.
That's so grim.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awful.
How do you do that to your own daughter? That's terrible.
You must be. I mean, well, like she became famous because like their family had no money, and like they kind of just like pawned her off to become a star. And like child stars almost never work out well. And like she's got some serious childhood trauma from. She was like a mega star at like 17, and it's almost impossible to be like well adjusted with that. That's actually I never heard the drugs part.
So you have to look this stuff up.
I got one more, and this one I kind of just thought of.
I know Sean has one too.
So The Simpsons. You guys know The Simpsons, like the longest running show right now.
This is 100% true.
Yeah,
100% true.
So
there's like 17,000 things. It's not one. It's not two.
Yeah,
let him explain to the viewers.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, The Simpsons have accurately predicted like so many future events in like from 10 like decades ago. It's been around for like 30 years. They've predicted past events, like so many of them. So they predicted Trump becoming the president.
So many.
They've predicted Fox They predicted Disney buying Fox or 20th Century Fox. They predicted smartwatches. They predicted the Super Bowl.
The exact score too, right?
They also predicted COVID in general. That was the whole thing. All the protests, the racial injustice protests over the summer. Yep. All of that. Then there's been the thousands of video game things. Like remember the Fortnite and the whole.
Yeah.
It's and so many of them are when the Simpsons are watching TV and like it's on TV or it's like the news or something. That's insane. But my question is how?
Time travel. That's the only reason. There's no possible other reason than that. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying that's the only possible explanation it could be for that to happen. I mean, what else could it be? All these coincidences? It's just there's no way. Or
this sounds like a movie plot. I might copyright it. Nobody steal this. Anybody listening, because we know Hollywood's listening right now. Obviously, they're listening to the podcast.
Of course.
But possibly, what if this is crazy? Okay, this is crazy. What if they're not predicting the future because they know they're shaping it listen to me.
And you thought my theory was crazy.
I'm not saying I believe this, but that's the alternate to them predicting it is that by putting things on the show, so many of the things happen and they're shaping what happens in the future by some sort of power. Because that's the same amount of craziness as aliens existing or aliens being able to travel. Like that's what I was talking about.
We have proof of this. We don't have
understand.
Proof of aliens. We have proof of the Simpsons. We have no proof of aliens.
We can barely even understand time. What is alien? Like it could be so easy that a strand of time could just be branched off. It sounds like
Well, yeah,
Flash
yeah,
and
yeah.
Flashpoint right now.
No. Like
All-
time, I think time has different. I don't know. I don't know much about time. Time is so confusing, but I could see that, Nick, with like time.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but time is some time. Like it's always time only moves in one direction. I mean,
Yeah.
this is pretty far fetched. But I gotta think though. Like I have maybe the Simpsons make a lot of prediction. Like the thing about this is like you're only seeing when you're right. So the Simpsons have probably made multiple I don't watch Simpsons. I never have. They probably make multiple predictions over their entire like the
I
show
mean, they're the
running.
longest running
It's
TV
the
show
longest
like
running.
ever.
Yeah.
Literally
It's
like about
40
like
years or something.
15
Something
minutes ago,
ridiculous.
they just got like 30 minutes ago, they just got renewed for a season 33 and 4 or 32 and 3, but something crazy like that. So I mean, unless there's some sort of magic or they have a way to manipulate time, which I think is, or they're really good guessers, but I think they probably cast a really wide net.
Yeah. The world
crazy.
just kind of ignores this. Like, no one's really sitting down having a conversation like we are. They're just like, oh, Simpsons predicted another thing. Okay. Like, it's a normal thing. This is not a normal thing to predict all these things happening. We're normalizing it. It should not be normalized.
Or should it? I don't know. It could be. Listen,
I don't know,
because look at what's going on. That was my point before about how right now we're starting to ramp up. I mean, that was space, but now we're kind of at the time, space time continuum, same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
We're ramping up. We're learning more now. We're starting now. This is the beginning. Or this is ridiculous and a stupid, everything is wrong. No aliens. Everything's ridiculous. I think it's everything or nothing. I think it's all or nothing. That's got to be my
I could
opinion.
agree with that. I could agree with that.
Give me, you had a conspiracy, right?
Me, do you guys believe in the Illuminati?
That confuses me.
Not on the
An
Illuminati.
ultimate power above everyone. No one knows who they are. They're born into by the family, and they just keep running. They've been like since the dawn of existence.
So these are just people that just hold, like humans that hold a ridiculous amount of power.
Oh yeah, ridiculous.
Because, but how?
I wish I knew. That's the whole part. I mean, it's just it's rumored that there's just a higher power that kind of controls anything. If they want to do something, you can get it done. Like there's also a conspiracy that Michael Jackson was killed by the Illuminati because he was so anti-Illuminati.
Yeah,
and he was all this, and then all of a sudden he's dead.
And there's there's a whole conspiracy that he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
There is a conspiracy.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Illuminati.
Real quick, didn't his daughter? Wasn't there a whole thing where his daughter like took a picture of him?
No, his daughter came out and said the Illuminati killed my father. Like this is not natural cause. Like the government did it.
She's in with Britney Spears. Spears. They're on the.
No, but I was saying like I think in Batman, what was it? What's it called? Like the Legion of Shadows in the Dark Knight, something like that, where they're like it's literally Illuminati, but like Batman edition. So like they caused they orchestrated the death of Julius Caesar, like they orchestrated the fall of Rome, all that. Maybe that probably won't be right, but like stuff like they orchestrated all these catastrophic events in history. Oh yeah, like they originally sent the ships with plague rats over to Europe to cause the Black Death, like stuff like that.
Wow,
that's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it sounds, because I don't know, have you guys heard of QAnon? Pat, I would think you would have. Okay, there's this whole thing. Or Q, like Q is also short. That it's basically Illuminati for the government. So basically, like QAnon is a group of so many people linked together, but actual people, like not behind a wall or behind a curtain, like some random people, part of this group. A lot of things line up. I don't know a lot about it, and they control the government basically. Like they have power over the U.S. and other countries' governments. It's like people in power basically. And then some other people who are behind the curtain and who have like a lot of like an Elon Musk per se. I find it very possible that there are so many people that have power over a government. It would make so much sense.
And if you think of how powerful the government is, think of someone above them, someone above the government. That is insane, incredible amount of power. You can't have any more power than that.
Yeah, no, I think that's crazy. But I think it could definitely be realistic.
It could
and actually
yeah.
happen.
It's probably the
Because
most realistic one we have today.
that's true,
Yeah, seriously.
especially over the aliens. I don't know if I'm hooked on the aliens. You might have convinced me about them. I think I'm
The
almost
stars
there.
align.
I need like a
You need a smoking
punch.
gun. You need a smoking gun.
Yeah, I need to be like just get over the hump to be on aliens.
Hey, if Area 51, if Area 52 ever releases anything,
Or
boom, there you go.
Whatever happened with the raid? Did that even ever?
Yeah,
it was like
that's-
4
Yeah, no,
people
it
that
happened.
went.
It happened, but like
Because you get shot.
yeah, it happened, but then they forgot like Area 51's like one of the most secured places
They
in the
forgot
world.
that they could have just dropped the bomb and killed.
But they're like,
everyone
if
who was
millions, if there's a million of us, they can't stop us.
Well, they
that's true.
ended
Well, yeah,
up doing
they'll
that.
shoot a quarter of you.
Well, the thing that ended up happening was they ended up getting to the gate and they realized like we're not gonna be able to get past this gate, so they just
Yeah,
set up
barely.
camp. They set
Only
up
one
camp and took
person,
some.
yeah.
They like set up camp and took some pictures and then went home.
Yeah,
Right,
if
a lot
if
of
you go
logs.
past those gates, you either in life of prison or you're dead. No in between. Life in prison or
Yeah.
dead.
Probably die.
Literally, you
Isn't
get shot down.
isn't I we might end on this unless anybody comes up with anything else, but this is the last thing I'm thinking of. Isn't there a whole thing? I know both of you have seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm
great
sure you
movie.
great movie.
Isn't there a whole thing that I don't know if it's really like The Matrix,
Oh, I
but
don't even
we're
want to get to the
all
Matrix.
we're all
I
almost
know
like
what you
in
mean.
a
We're all
dream.
being
Oh, I don't even wanna think of
no,
that,
yeah, I know,
dude.
yeah. We're all.
Oh,
We'll
But-
wrap
but-
on this. We'll wrap on this because it's our last one again. I can
Yeah.
go deep with this, but I'm not going to go too deep, because it's already been long.
That's
So
what she said.
so the last. So the
Continue.
last thing is that like we're all being is that we're all being kept asleep, and like Neo is brought by Morpheus. Like he's brought the option.
I can't.
He's brought the option to take the red or the blue pill, and I think it's the red pill that he just goes back
so.
to sleep,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then or is the other way around? It's one of them. But the red pill, he goes back to sleep. Nothing ever happens. He forgets us all. And the blue pill,
Morpheus shows him everything.
he wakes up, and then he remember the whole opening scene of him where he's opening out of this like little like coffin almost, but he's like
Pod.
being kept alive.
Yeah, they just
and then like
imagine
the
getting
agents,
plugged out.
and
Like,
and I think they call them the agents. They're the ones trying to kill Neo and Morpheus because they are like they've unplugged themselves and they're trying to like reveal the world's secrets.
yeah, if there even is a
them being all
world.
kept asleep. Yeah, the Matrix is a great movie.
Great movie, really is.
But realistically, we wouldn't know.
We wouldn't.
Why is it so unrealistic to say that that's true? If
Well, that's
there's
the whole.
there is nothing that says that that's not true.
Well,
We
unless
have
we-
no idea.
unless
This podcast
we,
could be a dream.
True.
well, the thing is, unless you think we live in a simulation.
Well, that's my
But that's
point.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole I'm not ready to go down.
Yeah, that's not.
That could actually be an entire thing. We could talk about simulation, but like Elon Musk, like you said, he talks about simulations all the time.
Mhm.
That he thinks we live in a simulation.
He does. He says that.
Yeah.
He also thinks that, well, we are basically specks of dust, but he also thinks we're almost being controlled. Like
Controlled by
we're
what?
like say you have pet ants in an ant farm.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Earth is that. Or
So
our
then-
solar system is that.
So we wrap up on this. I want to leave like a question to like food for thought before we go.
Cliffhanger.
Food for
If
thought at the
that's-
end of every
if
pod.
that's
Mark it
true,
down.
before we wrap, what will we roundtable, right? We're calling this roundtable.
Roundtable.
So to end the sellout roundtable, I just food for thought.
Mhm.
If we are in a simulation, we are ants in a massive farm. Who's controlling the farm, and why?
Comment down below. Comment
Yeah.
down below. No idea.
Tough question. Whoever we think has the best answer, beginning of next episode gets a shout out.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. Comment down below who's controlling us because Earth is an ant farm. And shout out Elon Musk, shout out Joe Rogan, shout out everybody we've talked
Please sponsor
about.
us.
Shout out the
Any
Beatles.
of those guys.
We know they're all listening. Shout out. Sponsor us. Thank you for listening. Follow Sellout Sports on Instagram. Go listen to Sellout Talks. That's our sports podcast. You can listen to Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, whatever you want. This is if you're listening to this on a podcast right now, we're going to have this on YouTube, our video. You'll be able to see us with our reactions and our facial expressions. Pretty cool. Awesome backgrounds. Subscribe to the YouTube, Sellout Sports. And this is the first episode of Sellout Roundtable. Gonna have a lot of guests on.
First of many.
It was a great time, boys.
Yep.